Alright, hello guys, and welcome to another day. Well, this one will be more of an additional cast, but it's not that far low, but still, we're gonna try and emphasize into what we see and what we can learn. But today we will be joined by Penny, the voice of Legion himself. So, hello, Penny.
Hello, Shadow. Thank you for having me on the cast. I've been enjoying the series a lot, and I'm excited to do a bit of an educational stream today.
Alright, so as I said, we're gonna focus more of what could be improved and stuff like that, more than casting the game. But if there are some downtimes, we'll still present the state of the game. So we're gonna try spectating here, and it does work, so we can join it.
Let's go. And are we focusing mainly on one player and kind of teaching
Uh,
how, looking at teaching moments for that one player, or are we focusing on the game as a whole, like a normal cast? What
I
do you
think
prefer?
at the start, we're just gonna try and see the global aspect of it, and we'll try and pick the player who could learn the most out of the of this video and what are mistakes that have been made.
Sure.
So right now we'll just see through the starts. We have a Zeus starts from CocTQ. We'll be calling him FTQ for general matter and just consideration. Uh, we have a Crusher start from CN, Green Devil start from Neighbor, and Xualai does go
Looks
for
like
the
he's
Grawl.
doing Brawl into Ball, which I think might be the worst opener in the game. It's certainly a contender.
Yeah, so the reason why it's bad is it's just the fact that it doesn't really does do a lot of damage. It's more like of a tank, and so this means that even though the splash damage of the initial run from the boar does a lot of damage, splash damage, it doesn't really guarantee the full wave to be affected when it's the only unit you have. So you're still susceptible to a sun on wave 2.
He is getting a Dragon Turtle here. He should hold this easily because, I mean, any unit with 270 value should hold wave 2. But the boar is still very vulnerable on wave 3 and 4.
Yeah, exactly. I think wave 4 should be the next sun. And we do have a double crusher start also on blue, since he didn't receive on wave 1. And so
Yep.
I see that a lot, but I'm not personally a fan of that. And the reasoning is that if you invest too much into crushers, they are a good tank in the early game because they are able to regenerate quite efficiently due to the low damage of the early game. But when you get past a certain point of the game, I would like to say after wave 10, then those crushers are just melting to to any kind of sands or even the wave.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So,
Now, FTQ, he did push his fifth worker, but it took him a while. Now, I think as soon as I see a boar in the enemy lane, I know that they're on two workers,
yeah,
and I'm pushing that fifth worker immediately. So there was kind of 10 or 20 seconds where he could have pushed and didn't.
yeah. And I think his addition was coming from that he didn't receive yet, so he wasn't sure with his units if he was
Yeah.
able to hold. But now he's receiving a 60, and let's see how he managed to do that. He will have a good tanking of for the aqua of the split.
He's got a really nice aggro split there, actually. It's pretty much perfect for him. He should, I think, go certainly 6 and possibly 7 workers here.
If he wants to go 7, he needs an answer for 5 because right now he doesn't have a tank for that. But he can still have the option of the crusher in the split,
Mm-hmm.
but a small leak nonetheless.
A small leak. So he can't afford the 7th worker. He didn't get enough gold. But this is also just fine for him. And look over here, we've got the boar leaking to 2 snails here on wave 3. 50% leak. And this is exactly what we were talking about at the start of the cast. Like, it is just a really bad opener.
Yeah, and we see that he didn't really. For the splash damage didn't affect the whole wave as we discussed also because it's the only the bore. There's no massing of the wave by a tier 1 in front. So even
Yeah.
though you have an expensive unit, you probably want at least a front line at the top of your lane to maximize that ramp up damage.
And so much of the boar's cost, if you like, is in its ability as well. So if that ability is not getting its full value, you're wasting a lot of gold. And the boar's auto attack damage is just so low that any kind of send can kill it, as we saw just now with the two snails.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's getting saved on. There will be the Harpy as a damage alternative. But on wave 5, if you don't get the Sky Queen, then you're still lacking damage.
Mhm. And if CN Skateball decides to send on 6 into Xiaolai's build, I think he could really be spelling trouble.
Oh yes, indeed. And even if you look at Neighbor, if FTQ and TN decide to join up on wave 6, they're both not looking too good. And that's one thing that people can learn also. If you see your ally having a weak wave and having no real answers in his role for that, you probably want to adjust your role or your build to try and cover for him, because you
Oh,
know
definitely.
that if you have the same weak wave, you're gonna take a lot of damage.
And right now, Neighbor's not looking amazing on 6 himself. Like, he's not bad, and I expect him to get a Hellraiser there, so he might be okay. But even if he holds, he won't be covering much in the mid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, masks are deceptively strong on 6. It shouldn't be, in my opinion, but it is a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're very tanky. Like, a Hellraiser has a lot of swift HP for wave 6.
Yeah,
Obviously,
exactly.
you don't want them tanking later on in the game, but like the early waves, wave 4, wave 6, etc., the the tier 1 masks, they provide a lot of HP.
Yeah, and FTQ going for the Crusher, as we talked about, to have at least a front line for this wave, and it then managed to hold here and go to 8 workers.
Good job. And here come the sends. We've got Imps from CN, we've got Brute Snail from FTQ.
Okay, we do see the Sky Queen here, so this is a good source of damage on wave 6. If there are only 3 Rokos remaining on the wave while reaching the Sky Queen, it will be a hold. Sky Queen does enough damage to 3 v1 the Rokos. So that is something that few people know, but Sky Queen early game. And that's why I've been starting to do a little bit more of those, because Sky Queen early game is now way better with the recent changes in the patch.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But I mean, his build overall is just very weak on this wave. So even with the Sky Queen, he's just going to leap quite hard. There's an Imp still alive there, so the
Oh yeah,
magic
the
damage
Imp.
can bring it down quickly.
But this is a hold from Neighbor. Yeah, despite having a lot of pierce damage, as we discussed, the mask does a really good job tanking.
I don't know if there's really anything better that FTQ could have sent there. Like for
Well,
100,
with
he
a
only
hunt,
had 80 before income as well. Like I think a Hermit doesn't do enough.
yeah, no,
I think
the
this
Hermit
was
is
fine.
not enough. You need damage to at least try and clear the front line, and so I think it was correct to send the Brute. And the snails aren't bad because you had more targets through the Hellraiser, but it's it's just too much tank value,
Yeah.
and also DPS for the Hellraiser.
And this resend is obviously just food. So I think FTQ is just trying to scale his own income, but obviously Neighbor will hold this very easily and then be able to push even more workers himself. He's already leading the pack with 9. The second highest is 8, which is both players on the left team.
Yeah, but now we need to check if Neighbor over pushes here, because right now wave 9 not looking too great.
Not amazing, no, but he does have tanks. His problem for Wave 9 is that he doesn't have any damage.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see how much he pushes off that 60.
He goes to 10, does he go to 11?
So
Doesn't go to 11, he's staying on 10, okay.
okay, so
That's
that's
fine, I think.
reasonable.
That's not too greedy, yeah.
Here the brute against the cat, just melting the cat also, just brute against cat is just renders the cat so useless, because some of the
Oh,
gold
yeah.
from the cat is just in in its ability when it reaches 7 stacks, and it's that it heals uh, like 26 HP when it kills something, but it needs to kill it. So a little bit underwhelming. And so that's why I always say that cat is good every wave except 7 and 8 because you just send a brute and it's rendered useless.
Oh, they're sending on 8. I really don't like that from CN Stateful. I
Mm,
think I think they could quite easily have done some massive damage on wave 9 if they send together. I know
yeah,
he has ball. I know he has ball, which means he's got some kind of tank line, but he just has, again, 0 damage on wave 9.
yeah,
Absolutely
exactly.
0 damage.
And we discussed how Neighbor stayed at 10, but he decided to go for 11 here after
Well,
seeing his
hopefully,
value, but still, same problem applies for 9.
hopefully FTQ can make him pay for that on wave 9.
But they need to first resist that send here. The Zeus
They
getting
have insane
sniped.
value, though. Yeah, the Zeus getting sniped is not ideal, but FTQ, he's still sat there with over 1,000 value.
Yeah,
I'd
he
be
has a
surprised if
canopy,
he
he
loses.
has the elemental, so he should be fine here. The two cats on CN should allow him to clear as well.
The cat's making up for the leak on wave 7. It felt a little bit ashamed, so it's going to overperform on wave 8 to make sure that he holds it. So both players holding. I'd like to see the mole come out now from FTQ.
Come on, FTQ, do it.
No, he's saving. Okay, he's going 10, I imagine.
Yeah, I guess. And does he want CN to join him? I mean,
I mean, he must. They
like
must want to go
Sulai is
together.
just looking so great, but still,
Well, Joai's value is very low. Like he's
yeah,
12 workers
exactly.
here, 980 value, and he's going to have 2 Sky Queens, but he doesn't have good tanks for 10.
But you see
The
here
ball will get
going,
ripped apart. Pegasus will get ripped apart.
yeah, if he goes for the second Sky Queen, this is a mistake on wave 10. Because what you need is time when you're playing Sky Queen, and so if you
Yeah,
invest too much into them, you don't have the time for them to do the damage. It's all
I,
depending of their ramp up.
sure. I think one other thing that we should point out from Xiaolai's build is he's spreading that mana way too thinly from the Pegasus. So
Yeah,
he's got that 270 gold support unit in the Pegasus, but he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different mana users, and 6 of those actually are very cheap kind of mana sinks with the 2 harpies, the 6 protons, 4 protons. So I think he's you really want to try and focus that Pegasus onto 1, maybe 2 units max, so
yeah,
that it can actually use its spell to the greatest effect.
exactly. Because if you have too many units where the mana is spread, it takes way longer for the Pegasus to get back to the state where she gives mana again. And so it has too much downtime for it, but if you have only a few units, then the downtime of giving mana is way lower. But
Sure,
sands
she's going to cast
everywhere.
once. She casts once and then she dies,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
her mana's split amongst mainly the protons.
Alright, so sands everywhere. Nobody was looking very strong on this wave. There will be leaks everywhere, I believe.
Yeah,
So
Shalai
Zulai,
does the best, although Cian is doing pretty decently as well. Kind of equal leaks there. I think this favors the left team, but only slightly. Like the damage is going to be pretty similar.
yeah, damage gonna be similar. I mean, the Hermit is crucial here to maybe prevent that for having good thresholds.
Mhm.
Like, damage threshold here is just, okay, it's good on the side of, oh, okay, that was
There's
bad.
one damage threshold, so the Hermit did save 1 attack there,
Yeah,
or create 1 extra attack there, let's say.
exactly. So who
So
took the
almost
most
identical
damage?
amounts of damage done there. 65% on the left, 68 on the right. I think that both teams are pretty evenly matched right now. The only
Okay,
difference is Neighbor, who has a kind of worker and income lead. So he has the same number of workers as FTQ, but 20 more income. So
yeah, but I like the play from Cian going for embargo, spotting the wave 13 against Zulai. Hope that FTQ sees it as well on Neighbor. And if we look on FTQ and Cian, I think they cover themselves way better for the mid game than Neighbor and Zulai are doing.
yeah, for sure. And their builds have some pretty decent scaling potential as well. Like they both have the LOD. FTQ has the Priestess, though obviously that's not a great combo with LOD. They kind of want to do similar things.
Yeah,
Um, Whereas Neighbor, his build is much more early to mid game oriented for now. He does have white main gates, which is insane late game, but he hasn't started building any of those yet.
So yeah, that's the thing when you're playing gates, you need to spot the right time to put them down.
Yeah, and Neighbor
And I
needs to play one
struggle to do
now.
that even.
Neighbor needs to play a Soul Gate now, realizing that they're getting the 13 send,
Yeah,
so that he can have the Hellgate for 13. That's his only chance of holding there,
but he
and
doesn't
he
do that.
doesn't do that. So I think he's going to be in trouble without that Hellgate on 13. I think that was his by far his best chance to hold.
Yeah, that was probably the play. Also, all of this MPS circle will die on 13.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
Half of the wave will go into that, and so its only damage will just evaporate really
yeah.
fast.
And he just won't have enough gold to build special 13 units for 13 when he realizes the sender's coming there. So this is
Zulai,
what we were talking about earlier, right? Like,
yeah,
if you look at your mate's build as well as your own, you can see that your teammate is really vulnerable on 13 in Xiaolai's lane. Like, all of his damage is pierced, his tank line is fortified. You know that your mate is really vulnerable 13. So you can then adapt your build to try and cover that.
yeah, exactly. And so that's why the MPS probably not the best play here. Let's see what he does. Probably going for going for white main here.
Yeah, I don't like that. Like, he even had to sell for that. So
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
his best play
He had
was
to sell
probably
a
going
unit for
gate,
that.
honestly.
And now his white main's debuffing the alpha male as well. So like, it's an aura unit, but the aura is also damaging the unit that it's buffing. It's not buffing anything else. I don't know, man. I don't think it's good. But
Yeah,
I also think that because he didn't get that Hellgate on 12, he didn't really have any other options here on 13.
exactly. But the Bone Warrior on the white main aura should do the difference. No, probably not. Uh,
The Sen's quite small from FTQ, and the Mimic is pretty bad. Let's say I don't think the Mimic does anything for him. Like a Four Eyes would have been way better.
Yeah, but since he didn't
But he
get
gets
embargo, he
fine.
needed to do as much as he could with the amount of material he had, and the mole I can understand, very strong at the moment, and the mimic is just good damage right now with the changes. So I
It
think
is.
overall it's pretty
It's
decent, but it could have been
it's
a bit
fine.
better sending magic damage maybe, as you said.
I mean, it's fine. They win here, so you
Yeah,
know.
but still, we can also always say what could be better in the sense. And honestly, I know you're not particularly a fan, but I do love the Witch here on 13, a good magic damage. And
Yep.
if you do that with a turtle spam, it prevents the Hellraiser to do a lot of damage to the wave by confusing the shots and also stacking up the mana from the Witch. So I
Yeah.
think it could have been a very good send against Neighbor.
Nice. Sounds interesting. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like a fairly even game right up until wave 10,
Yeah,
and then some bad decisions made on the right team just gave the victory away to the left team, I think.
yeah, exactly. But as we said, looking at the builds right off wave 10, we already spotted the wave 13 possibility due to a lot of pierce damage and not a lot of defense for wave 13. While on the side of FTQ and CN, better coverage. I mean, canopies are doing pretty decent on 13, Zeus as well, already the bunk protecting on 11 and 12. Uh,
Yeah.
so overall, better coverage of the mid game, and that allowed them to have the pressure to do something on 13 while the other team
I
didn't really have an answer.
I really think the right side team not sending themselves on wave 13 was a big mistake as well. You have to know the send is coming on 13.
Yeah, exactly. And probably Neighbor felt safe, like he was only 85 under, but the problem is too many
His
people
unit is
just,
bad.
yeah, exactly. Too many people only look at that recommended value without looking at what unit they have, and that's what the type of mistake they can end up doing, feeling too confident just according to that number.
Yeah. He would have had the gold as well if he decided to go for the big Hellgate on 13,
Yeah,
build the small one on 12, send income, upgrade King on 13, build the Hellgate, and Maybe he's not holding, but he's definitely not leaking 106%.
Exactly. And he needed to make something happen on
Yeah.
13 because he was in the lead. We discussed that he had the income advantage, he had the value advantage as well.
Hmm.
So he was the one who needed to make something happen. But yeah,
And his build actually performed worse than Shaolai. So Shaolai had less value, got a bigger send, and still leaked less.
yeah, and arguably a better send as well with the imps.
Yeah.
But yeah, on that, great job by FTQ and CN. We did emphasize more on Neighbor and Zulai because we realized at the early stage of the game that they uh, were the one that we should focus on to have a little bit more focus on what to improve and what decision could have been done. Um, but yeah, this is a different format that we use on the first one. Let me know in the comments if you like this format better, if we focus on fewer players uh, for this series, or if you prefer to have the global view of everybody and trying to have the information for everybody who's doing better or worse and what could have done better also. So on that, I'm going to say thank you to everybody and thank you to Penny for joining me. Any final words?
Thanks for having me, dude. I've been enjoying the series a lot, and I think you should continue with it. And I'm happy to join you whenever you want to have me.
All right. Thank you for joining, and thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.